Meeting for Craven County Commissioners, regular session for Monday, October 16th is now in session. Welcome, everybody. Would you please put your phones on silent ring or turn them off? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Liner?
Here.
Commissioner McCabe?
Here.
Commissioner Sampson?
Here.
Commissioner Tyson?
Here.
Vice Chairman Dacey?
Here.
Chairman Mark?
Here. Could we stand for the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Sampson?
Our Father, our God, we want to thank you this morning, Father, for bringing us together one more time. Because, Father, thank you for watching over each of us, Father. Father, watching over our families. Mercy, Father, we just thank you, Father, for being God all by yourself. Mercy, Father, we thank you, Father, for blessing those who stand in need of blessing. Father, we just want to say this morning that you're God all by yourself. Oh, Father, you've been so good to us, Father. You let the storm pass over us, Father, and you left us with so much assistance, Father. People came from all over everywhere. Oh, Father, we thank you for all our volunteers, Father, who work hours after hours to try to get things back up to help people. Father, we ask a special blessing on those people who do not have shelter. Oh, Father, those people who do not have lights, Father. Oh, Father, we just thank you, Father, that we are able to come together one more time in your name. Realizing, Father, that you are God, Father. Realizing you can do anything but fail. Realizing, Father, that we need one another. Oh, Father, let's continue to bless this country, Father, that we can be a blessing to those people down in Florida, Father, who, Father, lost so much more than we did. Father, we know that you are God, Father. We know you can do anything but fail. You can fix things, Father, that's better than the world before. Oh, bring us closer together as one body of believers in Christ Jesus. Oh, Father, let us go, Father, and go forth and help those who cannot help themselves. Give shelter to those who do not have shelter. Give shelter to those who are living in a molded situation, those who are laying on the floor. Oh, we just thank you this morning, because, Father, we know that you're God all by yourself. In Jesus' name we pray, and we count it all done. Amen.
Amen.
You have the agenda in front of you, and you also handed a document, each of you, concerning the hotels. And I'd like to make a change to the agenda under 5, economic development, make it 5B, and that would be Ron Antry, who will be talking to us about the hotel tax. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it. Okay, next is the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of October 1st and regular session, and September 25th are special meeting minutes, tax releases and refunds, proclamation of National American Indian Heritage Month. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dacey?
Yes.
Chairman Mark?
Yes. Thank you. Next is public hearing, economic development.
You need a motion. You need a motion to go into.
I know. A motion to go into public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Everybody, favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it. I was waiting for Timothy to come up.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Good morning. It's good to see
Good
you
morning.
again.
Good morning.
Well, so as your materials show, this is simply for us to sell another piece of property at the industrial park. This time is a little different, though. The proposed buyer is the Craven 100 Alliance, and they intend to purchase the property and then build a speculative shell building on that property with the funds that they've raised over the past 3-4 years. So pretty straightforward. They're buying the property at our market price, $20,000 an acre, and the property is 13.1 acres for a total price of $262,000. And I believe that's about it as far as what you need to consider.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one person has chosen to sign up this morning for the public hearing, Hal James.
Good morning. I'm Hal James, and a spokesman for the Coastal Carolina Taxpayers Association. I would beg to differ with Mr. Downs. I don't think this is very straightforward at all. I've said before that I don't like the government picking winners and losers, being able to benefit companies, usually big industrial type companies. We don't see any huge effort to assist the small business people or the people that run garages and various small businesses, plumbers and people like that. Well, first thing when I looked at this, I see that it is being conveyed over to the Craven 100 Alliance. And I wonder, is there an attempt here to hide something? That's what it looks like. They say they're going to build a speculative building. Now, if the county went ahead and did things like this, the citizens would be able to kind of track it, see what's going on, see who the buyer is, see what's happening there. As long as it goes over to this 100 Alliance, it's considered a private operation, and the citizens are no longer able to follow it. And for that reason, I think there's maybe an effort here to hide something. And it shouldn't appear that way to us citizens. Thank you.
Nobody else has chosen to sign up.
Okay, do I have a motion to go out of public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it. I have a public hearing for carts. I have a motion to go into public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it.
The Community Transportation Program provides assistance to coordinate existing transportation programs operating in Craven, Jones, and Pamlico counties, as well as provide transportation options and services for the communities within this service area. This public hearing is on the proposed fiscal year 2020 Community Transportation Program application that is to be submitted to the North Carolina Department of Transportation by November 2nd, 2018.
One person has asked to speak today, Mr. Hal James.
I'm Hal James, live at 305 Calico Drive, spokesperson for the Coastal Carolina Taxpayers Association. Now, I say once again, this is not as straightforward as it should be, as it's been presented. I've tried to study it. I think recently you all showed the wisdom and the intestinal fortitude not to fall for that old game that the federal government does of paying for expansion of their operations by hiring people, paying the first year, and expecting the county to pick it up from then on. You've all rejected that, for which I'm grateful. But in this particular case, nothing has been said about the alternative hybrid electric engines that are going to be put in these vehicles at an extra cost of approximately $250,000 per vehicle. There again, we're not being straightforward with the public. I think you all need to work on that. Thank you. Bye. Oh, one more comment I wanted to make on that. How's that going to affect our local farmers who raise corn and some of it gets sold for the fuel for gasoline engines? I don't think that we need to fall for this pressure from the environmentalists to keep changing things like this. Thank you.
Nobody else has chosen to sign up.
Okay, do I have a motion to go out of public hearing?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Nays? The ayes have it. American Red Cross, request for additional funding.
Hi, my name is David Howe with the American Red Cross. I want to thank you all for
having us here. James Jarvis, our Executive Director out of the Cape Fear chapter and over this area, has come to speak facts and figures and answer any questions that we all might have. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. My name is James Jarvis. I'm the Executive Director for the Cape Fear Area Chapter of the American Red Cross. Just wanted to speak with you today. For Hurricane Florence, so far, we have sheltered we have 470 people who are still in our shelters across the Carolinas. We have so far provided 125,400 overnight stays. We have 2,200 Red Cross workers, 94% of which are volunteers from across the country that have come to help. We provided 1.56 million meals and snacks, 48,000 contacts with local mental health and health services connections. At the West New Bern Recreation Center, we had 93 Craven County residents who remained there seeking shelter from the American Red Cross. And in Craven County specifically, we provided 7,032 overnight stays. We've served more than 133,000 meals and provided 14,000 emergency cleanup kits, et cetera. The main reason that we're asking for additional funding is A, to help recoup some of the costs that we have incurred thus far, because we're spending roughly $5,000 a day to man those shelters. And B, we're still working with doing some detailed casework for those 93 residents who remain in those shelters to try to help them access affordable housing in your community. So subject to your questions, that's all I have, sir.
Yeah, well, one question I have, and I know I myself and another commissioner had asked to see a budget. Have you a budget to present to us?
It was my understanding that there was an audit, our most audited year was submitted.
Okay, I didn't.
It was their 2017 audit statement.
Now, normally when we make a donation to the Red Cross, we do this at budget time.
Correct. And you did this year.
And what was the amount we
It
did?
was $6,000.
$6,000. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I move that we approve the request for $10,000 in support of the Red Cross.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, and discussion. Commissioner Liner.
Sir, I'm going to be negative on you.
Okay.
I appreciate everything you all are doing a week after the storm. Your volunteers and your people working in there are superb. People you had in the EOC was outstanding once they got up and running. Since you've, over the years, have consolidated and taken the Red Cross out of the local chapters of the local areas here, you've lost, I think, the camaraderie or the togetherness with the community of what's needed and what's there. I'm not pleased with the way you all handle things for the first week of the storm, of getting things set up and everything else. Once you got on the ground and got set up after about a week, I think it's running good now, and you're doing a great job for what's out there. But when we were hurting and really needed you, you all seemed not together. You were disjointed, not together at all to get set up and everything else. I'm going to support the request, but after this is cleared up and set up, I need someone to talk with me about your all's organizations and how things doing it. Because when you come to a shelter, and we have 350 people in a shelter, and you give us 50 cots to sleep on, and 25 blankets, something is just not right. And you don't show up to run that shelter until after the storm is over with, and you rely on local folks to do it. I think we need, we do it, and we did a damn good job at it. But if that's what you all are there for, then I think you need to be there early. And I sound negative, but I appreciate all of the workers who did that. and everything else there, but I think the leadership of the organization higher up somehow fell through on this one, on that. But I'll support the request and go forward on it, but I'd like to talk with you after all this is over with,
Yes, sir.
after it's cleaned.
Yes, sir. And I can address a couple of your concerns now if you'd like.
Yes, sir.
So first challenge we had was, obviously, this was a Category 4 storm coming in, so we followed the advice of the local emergency managers, and we did push a lot of our staff inland. And then our agreements are such that Department of Social Services mans the shelters in the first 72 hours, and then the Red Cross comes in to take over the shelters from them after that. The big challenge we had is when we pushed everyone in, we had a challenge getting them back in here because all the roads were closed. And so we tried to get folks in as soon as we possibly could, but we were limited by the logistics associated with doing that. And so certainly it is, Department of Social Services manned those shelters longer than we would have liked to have been the case. But part of it was just the logistics of having the entire area affected such as it was, as well as, having the inability to get back here just because of having navigable roadways. But certainly we will take a look at that. We now have 2 storms worth of data from both Matthew and now Florence to see where's the best place to put our people, where's the best place to put our supplies so that we can get in much more quickly the next time. So certainly that is more than a valid concern, and we apologize for that. The one thing I'll say about the cots and blankets is that initially it was an evacuation shelter, an emergency evacuation shelter, and that's where we're trying to get as many people in there as we possibly can for saving lives. And then, so typically we don't have cots and blankets for that initial stage, and so that is something we're going to take a look at and see if we can revise that moving forward. But that's why they weren't there initially. Our planning consideration is 20 square feet per person for an emergency evacuation, which does not include a cot, and then 40 square feet per person post landfall, because then you're expecting it's going to be a longer stay, and then they also have their personal belongings as well. But those are some of the reasons why that was the case. But certainly we will take a look at that, and more than happy to have that discussion with you afterward.
Yeah, we could go on that. Like I say, I like to sit down with you one-on-one and go through.
Yes, sir.
There's some other issues that
Yes, sir.
I think we need to talk about.
Okay, sir.
From my side, anyway.
Yes, sir. Happy to do that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say something as well. I thought you guys did an amazing job considering that this is the worst storm of my lifetime, and I'm 63 years old, and that many of the roads were flooded and not allowing you to get personnel in. I worked with the Red Cross for 3 weeks after the storm out of Temple Baptist, and I was absolutely amazed at the dedication of not just the staff, but the volunteers that came in here from all over the country to help out. So great job, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Vice Chairman.
I'm disappointed to hear that we've got somebody on this board that would criticize the Red Cross at this point. What you folks have done for our community, we cannot offer you enough thanks. And to do it from a perspective of a volunteerism capacity, I'm just dumbfounded. Thank you very much for everything that you've done. The Red Cross, in this instance, has done exactly what we would hope the non-governmental organizations that we fund on an annual basis would do. You have filled the gap that the government would otherwise have to provide. And you've done so in an exceptionally economic way to help defer the cost of the taxpayers. $10,000 is 2 days' worth of service. We've provided you an additional $6,000 through our annual budgeting process. That's a little bit over 3 days of service. There is no better investment that we could possibly be making. I was disappointed at the outset as well. We made a couple of phone calls to our United States senators, and they were very responsive. And there were just some logistical quirks. But the fact of the matter is that you guys were staged and ready to come in, and I suspect that you did everything that you possibly could. And I can't thank you enough for helping us meet the objectives that we were supposed to meet for the people of Craven County.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And we are a learning organization, so we certainly appreciate the councilman's recommendations, the commissioner's recommendations, sorry.
Commissioner
Mr. Chairman.
McCabe.
Yes, I can understand what George Line is saying, and also since you explain yourself, things have, I look in a different way about it. But I can say that Red Cross was significant doing the work in the Hollow area. Every day, hours and hours, I always see Red Cross giving out food, supplies. And y'all did a hell of a good job in my area anyway. And everyone back there was very happy and complete what they saw. And I want to thank again for the work that you and your staff had done in my area, in Havelock and Harlow, especially Harlow area. I want
Yes,
to
sir.
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I feel like we all got a great wake-up call, because I've seen people come together that never come together before in this storm. This is the worst storm that I ever seen. I've been here 86 years. It's the worst storm I ever seen. I never seen anything like it. We still have people now that's living in shelter. We have people now in Trent Cove living in mold. Some people still has not realized that they're still a citizen of this town, because some of them feel like they've been left out. But working together, we can change all this. And we could be a lot more successful if we come together as we have in the last few weeks of this storm and work together. We can see great things happen for all of us.
Yes, sir.
I too would like to thank the Red Cross. I think you did a good job. And many of the people in traveling through the area that I traveled through were very happy about the food that you provided them. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes,
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dacey?
Yes.
Chairman Martin?
Yes. Thank you. Department Matters, Economic Development, Timothy Downs.
So this is our opportunity to discuss the item that was part of the public hearing this morning. Again, it's a pretty straightforward deal where the Craven Alliance is purchasing this property so they can be the developer of it. This is no different than if a company came to us and asked to purchase property at our industrial park, like it's been done in recent past. And again, this is done at the market rate that we set, that our county attorney has confirmed for us is a valid number. So, subject to questions, unless you have anything else.
Okay, well, let's get a motion.
I
first.
move to adopt the resolution and execute agreement for the purchase and sale of real property in our industrial park.
So move.
Second.
Second.
You got it.
Discussion. And there's no discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have some discussion. We have a severe shortage of industrial-type buildings now in the county as a whole. Mr. Downs has tried numerous times to find adequate buildings for people coming and looking to invest in our county, to no avail. Many companies are, when they're ready to make a move, they want to make a move right then. They don't want to wait a year to build a building. And so this is a great opportunity. The risk is primarily going to be picked up by the C100 Alliance, which is a nonprofit, and we're going to, they've already raised how much money, Timothy? $1.2 million?
1.3.
$1.3 million, so they'll have the funding to actually build the building and not have to borrow any money against it. I believe I'm correct when I say that. It's a great opportunity for the county. We've had a lot of good, success in the last few years, and not just new recruitment, but also retention. We're about real close to having another announcement here soon, I think. And I think that this board has done a good job of not picking winners and losers. We're picking winners. And so this is a great opportunity for us, and I look forward to building a building and having something ready for when somebody wants to move here. And when they see how quickly that we recover from a major disaster, I think that they're going to be more than happy to come here.
I agree with that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion?
Mr.
Chairman, I would just, and I appreciate Commissioner Tyson's statements there. I'd like to say that I think that it's even more than us picking winners. We're fostering an environment. Through your hard work, we've fostered an environment where growth can take place and entrepreneurism can grow. Created over 700 new jobs out there. Am I correct about that number?
Counting those jobs is sometimes difficult, but yes, I totally agree with that number, yeah.
And we've done so by limiting the exposure of the taxpayer to a very great degree, by simply investing in that property to make certain that it's usable by business interests that want to come and locate their activities here in Craven County. You know, this is something that other counties would have done themselves. They would have put the taxpayer's dollar at risk in building this building. We chose not to do so. We chose to work, in fact, with our partner so that we don't have the taxpayer's dollar at risk in this venture.
That's correct.
But yet it does meet the objectives of our economic development activities. Once again, I find it incomprehensible that somebody can come here and criticize without doing the proper homework. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll just add to that, if you allow me, that many of our neighbors have done that. Onslow County, Martin County, Pitt County, many of them have spent taxpayer dollars to do the very same thing. And in their communities, that may be the right move. But I also remind you of something I said the last time I was out in front of you. We've had an amazing amount of interest in our industrial park just in the past, well, I'll say a year. It really has been less than a year. And we have more interest right now. Today, I'm meeting with another individual that wants to buy one of our lots at the industrial park. And that's, again, the hard work of you and the Alliance, marketing that, developing it in a smart way, so.
Okay. We have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Walker, Department Matters, Carts.
No, Altry.
Oh, no, it's 5B. You're right, I'm sorry. We have Mr. Entree coming up next.
Close.
Forgot about you.
That's all right. Good morning. Hurricane Florence last month devastated the lives and property of many, and at the least inconvenienced many others. Fortunately, there were no property tax payments compromised because the deadline for paying those is next year, early in January. However, there was one group of taxpayers who are required to file their occupancy taxes each month, and on the day they were due for September 20th, the office was actually closed. We had been closed for, I believe, 7 working days prior. So each of the 7 of the 49 operators who had late penalties have filed written requests for release of those. And after meeting with Mr. Veit and staff last week, we recommend that in these extenuating circumstances, these late penalties be released. There are 7 of them, and they total $3,786.24. So recommend those for the board's approval.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we waive the late penalty fees as provided for in NCGS 105-236A.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We need a roll call vote on this? Roll call vote?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dacey?
Yes.
Chairman Martin?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I saved the most beautiful woman's plot.
Thank you. Good morning. The North Carolina Department of Transportation, Public Transportation Division, NCDOT, PTD, has released the grant applications for fiscal year 2020. Public hearing has been held. Applications for these projects must be submitted no later than November 2nd, 2018. NCDOT PTD has specified it is allowed that one combined public hearing can be held if desired, and CARTS is requesting approval to proceed with 3 grant applications that were provided. First grant application is the 5311 Community Transportation Program, or CTP Administration Grant, and is formula-based for grant for public transportation projects in non-urbanized areas. Parks relies on this grant to assist with the administrative costs of operation in the rural service areas. The second grant is a 5311 CTP operating grant. Parks is eligible to apply for this grant as an urban/rural split system. Eligible uses are limited. The total amount of the 5311 admin and 5311 operating cannot exceed the total that is allocated in the 5311 CTP that is specified by the state. The 5311 operating would assist with expenses for non-urban transportation expenses such as driver's salary, actually we're taking that out, I'm sorry, fuel, and preventative maintenance type items. These expenses are not allowed in the 5311 admin grant. The third application is the combined capital application. Capital projects are to be included in a consolidated application, which does not specify in which grant capital projects will be placed. This allows NCDOT PTD flexibility based on grant availability. That determination will be made at the state level. The capital purchase plan for fiscal year 2020 at this time are for the purchase of 3 replacement vehicles and 2 computers. And I would like to add that those are gasoline-powered vehicles. We are not asking for hybrid vehicles. The application information for each of these grants has been available on the Craven County website, and we are requesting the board to consider and approve each grant application individually.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Liner.
Ms. Kelly, under the second grant application, what should have been deleted from that?
This-
On non-urban transportation such as,
I'm sorry, salary, we're gonna limit it to fuel and preventive maintenance.
fuel and preventive maintenance?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question about the hybrid vehicles. That we had a citizen concerned about those. He couldn't call one of us up, but, so, did you just say we're not purchasing any hybrid vehicles?
We are not. Our budget is for G 546, which is 20-foot light transit vehicle with wheelchair lift and is a replacement vehicle. On page 5 of 21 is the G 577, which is where a system would indicate that they want an optional engine for hybrid electric, and we did not indicate so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Following up on Commissioner Tyson's statement, though, there is a portion of the paperwork that talks about hybrid vehicles, electric vehicles, diesel vehicles. Those are enumerated in there, but it's not saying that we're going to be buying those, correct?
Correct.
It's just simply an option that you had to put in there in order to file the grant application.
Correct.
But there's no statement that suggests that we're going to be buying these things.
No, sir.
And moreover, just because something is a hybrid vehicle doesn't necessarily, I mean, it can take the shape of having both a gasoline and electric power activity, correct?
Correct.
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be taking in fuel that has to be used or has to be made of corn. It
Correct.
can be regular gas.
Yes, sir.
So just because one is buying a hybrid vehicle doesn't mean that they're necessarily hurting the agricultural industry.
Yes, sir.
Just wish people would become more well-informed before they come and they comment before this board. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just to piggyback on both of them there, I mean, this application, these forms, is mandated by the state and the feds of how it's prepared and put up. We just filling in the blanks of what we want to go for. We didn't come up with these forms or generate the forms and everything else, so
Correct.
we're just filling in each one of our states, and I understand you.
It's easy to take shots at us, though,
Yes,
for
sir,
doing that.
right, yes, sir, I understand.
Okay, any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, is that for all 3 of them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, other matters. Scott Harrelson.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I have two budget amendments I'd like to propose this morning. The first one involves some supplemental funding. This was unsolicited funding, but we, as a federally qualified health center, we're required to have a quality improvement program in place. So the federal government sent us $11,320 to assist with that program. And we have also received notice, I'll be bringing forward here in the near future, that we did receive some mental health funding. So in preparation for that, we would like to train our staff in mental health billing. The QI budget items that we have here that make up this $11,320 are really staff training and also some software equipment, Dragon Medically Speaking, which some of our clinicians already have, and basically they speak into the software and it populates the electronic health record rather than having to do keystrokes. Much more efficient, just a very good tool to have. And those things combined really make up the $11,320 with the staff training and the software.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Scott, you mentioned mental health training. To what degree do you provide that service at the health department?
Right now, we're not, but it's a great need. We were partnering with Fort Human Services, but they've had difficulty in placing LCSWs at the health department to see the mental health needs. What we would like to do with this new funding is to provide an LCSW full-time and also do telepsychiatry, where we actually set up flats, 65-inch monitors here in New Bern and at our Havelock location, and have a psychiatrist actually speak. They can see the individual can see them, and it's being done in some other areas of the state. And I think that with this funding, we can fulfill that niche of people who don't have the coverage or the money for the mental health, but definitely need the service. You know, you see anything from ADD, ADHD in children to depression and anxiety disorders among adults, and these are some of the things that we would really like to be able to treat in our patient population, which is growing in both, in both areas, in Havelock and New Bern.
Okay. Any other discussion? We have a motion, a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dacey?
Yes.
Chairman Martin?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, the next one up is basically a purchase list for our end-of-year fund balance from fiscal year 2018. We had a very good financial year, in part because of a 2014 cost settlement payment being posted in the year for $433,009. So our regular cost settlement from 2017, which was posted in fiscal year 2018, was for $903,290. Now, in addition to the Medicaid dollars, you also have a lot of Medicare money coming in from hospice. You've got the mobile dental unit, which is predominantly Medicaid, some health choice, and as you are aware, we've just purchased a beautiful new dental unit, which I would love to have all of you come for a tour. But with the items that we are requesting, they're really paramount to the different programs. New cars, we've actually had our staff go to mandatory training, and had our cars break down in Raleigh, 2 of them here recently. So it's getting to a point where we need to replace some of these vehicles, and you see some vehicles on the list. You also see some things, shelving for the animal shelter, printers, and then things for the mobile dental unit that we determined the need for, such as amalgamators, things like office chairs and computers, things that are used in our clinics, like audiometers. These are the things that make up the list for $172,619. Now, to put things in perspective for you, back in 2008, 2009, in order to make the budget whole, the county was giving the health department about $3 million a year. Once we do these fund reversions, because we were over to the tune of over $1.2 million, even if you take into account purchasing these items and this $172,000, the county's appropriation towards the department for the year for 2018 would be somewhere around $1.6 million. So, you know, that county dollars dropped from $3 million to $1.6 million. And when you enable us to purchase these things, to do these programs, these are the programs that are making these revenue streams, but they're for needed services. You know, children that probably would not otherwise have a dental home. This unit's moving around 3 counties, the FQHC, the hospice program, things of that nature.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Any discussion? No. Okay, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dacey?
Yes.
Chairman Martin?
Yes.
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
Greg Warren, Department Matters Finance.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have 2 items on the agenda for you this morning. The first one is the consideration and approval of a resolution that designates the agents for the public assistance application. As a result of damages sustained by Hurricane Florence, certain areas of North Carolina, including Craven County, were included in the federal disaster declaration issued by the President on September 14th, 2018. This declaration authorizes the allocation of federal funds to assist communities in their recovery efforts. As part of the public assistance application, the North Carolina Department of Emergency Management requires the adoption of the attached resolution by the governing board designating the applicant's primary and secondary agents. It is recommended that the board authorize the finance director and county manager to act on its behalf.
I have a motion.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it.
Thank you. The second item I have on the agenda for you this morning is the countywide copier services agreement. The county recently issued a request for proposals for a 5-year copier services agreement. The purpose of the RFP consisted of several initiatives. They were to replace 65 multifunction copiers and 25 desktop printers, contract with a single vendor who could provide like equipment and high quality of service across departments, have in place a single agreement that allows for maximum flexibility to add or delete equipment as needed without changing the terms, and to continue reducing the printing costs by leveraging the buying power of the county. Just a little bit of background, we started this project in 2015. At that time, the county had approximately 60 copiers across all of its departments, and it was contracting with 6 different vendors at that time for this service. Each copier had its own lease. Ending dates were staggered, and there was no consistency in the pricing structure among them. There was also no standardization of equipment, no flexibility to add or delete devices without signing another lease, and we were not taking advantage of our economies of scale to command better pricing. With the goal of reducing our printing costs and consolidating our copier leases agreements, we initiated a cost per copy program with Sistel. A cost per copy program is exactly that. You pay for what you print. Copies, computer printing, basically any output that requires ink to produce. The vendor also supplies the ink at no cost to us, which is another appealing aspect of the program. As copier leases ended, they were added to the program. This approach has proven to be a successful one, as you can see in the following slide, that we've been able to reduce our printing costs each year since 2015. When we started this in 2015, we were spending approximately $185,000 per year. As you can see, each year it's declined pretty significantly until the most current fiscal year we have completed at $132,751. That is approximately $53,000 less than what we were spending in 2015 when we started. Also, in addition to what we've saved already, we are also projecting, based on the new contract award, to be spending approximately $85,000 per year. A committee of 6 employees from across various departments, including finance, IT, health, social services, was formed with the objective of identifying a potential vendor. Each vendor's response was evaluated and based on the following criteria: experience, past and present performance, response time to service calls, flexibility in adding, deleting equipment, overall response to proposal, and pricing. The scores of the committee members were averaged in total to arrive at the vendor's overall score, as you can see down here at the bottom. Based on the results of the committee, Sistel received the highest score of 92 out of 100 possible points, followed by Toshiba at 80 and Copy Pro at 75. I would like to note for the board that although Sistel was not the lowest bidder based on the vendor comparison, the committee considered other factors of equal importance to the county in addition to pricing. Those factors were past experience, superior service, and maximum flexibility. You will note that when I said service time, you can see that 2.5 hours was the lowest submitted by all the groups. One thing that we noted that there's some of these other vendors are quoting some fixed fees in there, and so therefore they weren't really a true cost per copy program. A good example of having a more true based on actual cost per copy is during this hurricane event when we were downed. If we're not printing, then we're not spending money. So that's when that would be more appealing than anything with a fixed cost. At this time, in closing, based on the scoring of the committee and with the support of management, I'd like to recommend that Sistel be awarded the countywide copier services agreement. Also available is IT Director Dennis Holton. He works very closely with Sistel as well, and he can assist with any
I would
questions.
assume from your presentation that the county staff has done a very good job in reducing the cost of the county doing business. Have a motion?
Yes,
So
sir.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those, I don't think we need a roll call vote on this, do we? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appointments will be effective immediately on.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you, good.
We have the Adult Home Advisory Committee. We still have 5 vacancies. Nursing Home Advisory
Mr. Chair, can we
Committee.
talk about that one just for a second?
Yeah, we wrote a letter to them. Did I ever get an answer to my letter?
They're still trying to seek individuals. I mean, they're working on it, is what I've been told, but.
Correct. So this is what we talked about 6 months ago when this change happened, that we'd be sitting here 6 months from then with 5 vacancies, because you can't
Correct.
fill them because of the process. I think your letter needs to go to a legislator now, since that's where the change was made, and say, look, you know, this board does some very important work, and they need to be active, but we can't fill vacancies at this time.
What the county manager is talking about is that we used to appoint these people to this board. That was taken away from us by the state, and therefore now we have vacancies where we didn't have vacancies before. And I agree with you. I think we should make up a letter and send it off to our state legislature. Emergency Medical Service Advisory Council, 1 vacancy. We have somebody for that, Nan?
Not yet.
Not
but
yet.
they're aware.
They're aware, okay. Craven County Board of Adjustment. Please nominate names, MAC Cherry Point area. Have we done?
Yeah, Mr.
anything?
Chair, I have someone, but fortunately, I didn't have an application, but I do have one now. So I'll definitely bring him back at the
Okay.
next meeting.
Craven Aging Planning Board, we have Clay Gaskins as C. Keaton, reappointment to the Craven Aging Planning Board.
Make that motion.
Okay? By acclamation. On the Craven County Clean Sweep Committee, we have a vacancy, Cynthia Seymour seeking appointment to the Clean Sweep Committee. I'll make that appointment. Craven County Library Board, Jessica Spencer seeking appointment to the New Bern Craven County Library Board.
This vacancy occurs from Emily Downs coming off the board. I've been in touch with Ms. Spencer, and she's very anxious to do this. She's got young children that use the library a great deal, and that's exactly the type of asset that we need on the board at this time.
All right. Acclamation. Next is the Fireman's Relief Fund. We have Dred Mitchell and Aaron McLornhorn are seeking reappointment to the Fireman's Relief Fund.
Mr. Chairman, I'm so moved for both of them.
Okay. Fire Tax Commission, Joseph Midget and Aaron McLornhorn are seeking reappointment to the Fire Tax Commission.
I would move for Aaron McLaughlin. I don't know Mr. Midget.
I believe I know Mr. Midget. I would appoint him. Okay, that takes care of appointments. County Attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman, I have no report today.
Okay.
Congratulations.
That's the way you feel about it? County Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have as lengthy a report today as I did last time I was given this opportunity. I do want to update you on a couple Hurricane Florence-related items and a couple just normal county business items. Late on Friday, we were awarded authority to enter Fairfield Harbor and remove the debris, which is something we've been working on since the day before the storm. That approval came from FEMA. It will allow us to enter there and remove any debris, C&D, vegetative appliances, and we hope to get started today on that. One of the things with why that issue is sort of unique is because it's a gated community. We don't have automatic authorization to do that, so there's a process. But that's good news. That was sort of the last hanging issue that hadn't been resolved with FEMA to get us into recovery. Second, more good news. Mr. Harrelson left, but I was hoping he would update you on the mosquito spraying, but I'll do my best. We did start late Friday, ground spraying in the county unincorporated areas and some incorporated areas, particularly the Vanceboro, Cove City, Fort Barnwell, not Fort Barnwell, Dover areas. That will be ongoing as revenue was brought forth by the state to fund that program through our Hurricane Florence recovery. We will have some aerial spraying that will take place this week. I don't have an exact day yet. We will be spraying approximately 45,000 acres. Most of it's in the western, northern, and eastern parts of the county. So that'd be districts 1, 2, and 5. We'll see the aerial spraying. Where you have less road network, more wide open spaces, it's easier to do it via airplane. The health department is offering larvicide tablets, or dunks as they're referred to. Those are free to the public. All you have to do is go to the Craven County Health Department on News Boulevard and go to the environmental health section, and they'll be happy to give you some. These are for standing water. So if you have a retention pond in your backyard, a ditch that typically stays high because of tidal conditions or rain, you got a bird bath, koi pond, whatever, that's what those dunks are for, and they help eliminate the breeding of mosquitoes. Health Department. Okay, county building update. We've had some progress being made. As you can see in this building, we're back to our normal air conditioning systems now, which is a real positive. We did have to remove all the temporary equipment. It did serve its purpose. We will be doing some minor tweaks. Mr. Hodges has informed me some minor tweaks are going for the next couple of weeks, and we should be back up to normal. We are repairing, as you'll see over here, some sheetrock damage, ceiling tile damage. Those things are ongoing. Hopefully have that wrapped up in the next week or two, and this building will be back to normal. The Emergency Operations Center, again, as I mentioned to you last time, had some more extensive damage. We're still getting quotes on chillers, boilers, elevator equipment. Those projects will probably be ongoing for the next several months as equipment becomes available to the county. Of course, with another storm, we're certainly going to be in competition for certain equipment that we need. And finally, the convention center, Mr. Hodges has made contact with an engineering firm to look at some of the scan data we're going to get. We're going to scan the building next week, and it will give us the amount of settlement that's occurred from 2 years ago until today, and we can even go back and compare that back to 2012 when we finished the project to elevate the floor. The engineer will then come up with recommendations that we'll present to this board for a permanent fix to that facility. And we'll also be bringing a budget item, timeline, all those types of things to you, just so we can go out to bid and get that work started. That's all I have on county buildings. Everything else is being patched up. I haven't heard of any major reports from any other county buildings. Those were, of course, the 3 that received the most damage. So, but I'll keep you updated on those as we move forward. Getting back to some normal county business, I was able to attend via telephone the second statewide 911 strategic plan committee that I was appointed to last summer. That group is put together to look at next generation 911 for all of North Carolina and the ways it can be implemented. It's a really interesting project. I'm there, of course, representing county interest, and has a variety of folks that attend those meetings, but there's some really neat technology that's coming forward that's going to make 911 more efficient, more accurate, and more timely. So look forward to continue updating you on that. We do have a timeline of December to have the final report to the legislature, so we will be working rapidly to get that done. Back to Hurricane Florence, one thing I would like, and I don't know the real procedure here, but I would look to Mr. Grady for advice. There were quite a few of individuals that came from other parts of the state and other parts of the country that helped us during the emergency response to Hurricane Florence. I think it would be appropriate for this board to pass a resolution for their service. And there's quite a few individuals, and I will certainly be able to put a list together for you with Mr. Kite. I don't know if you would feel comfortable giving a blanket authority for that with the signature of the chair, just so we can go ahead and start working on those as soon as possible. Mr. Grady, I don't know, I didn't even talk to you about that. I don't know if that's acceptable, but.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Very nice.
We have a consensus, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And lastly, I'd like to start putting some thought. After Hurricane Matthew, we did a employee recognition event in conjunction with our normal service awards for tenure. I would like for your opinion on whether that would be something we could consider doing pretty soon. Obviously, not having the convention center is going to hamper us a bit because that's a great location to have a lot of people, but I think we could look at some outside venues and try to put something together. I think it would be a great idea.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment on that if I could. Absolutely. I've never seen such dedicated from our county employees as I saw after this
Agreed.
storm. Some of them were working, I mean, night and day.
Yeah.
And including yourself, of course, but I'm talking about department heads and the staff under those departments. It was inspiring to see the level of energy that they brought towards helping. At that time, a lot of it was just beyond the rescue, but certainly we weren't into recovery. We were trying to sustain people.
Yeah. Would it be acceptable to bring you a budget at your next meeting for what that event may cost and what it would look like?
Could we hold that emergency service?
Probably not big enough.
Not big enough.
I mean, we had over 200 employees
Yeah,
work during the storm.
I think we need to have it held at a place that's got exceptional bread pudding.
Yeah. Happen to know that place. We'll give you, we'll look at a couple options, and I think it would be a nice thing to do.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, just to add to Commissioner Tyson, having spent 4 or 5 days in the emergency service, and I watched these people, it was unbelievable. And you got 30 people in a room, and everybody's on a phone trying to listen to the other person on the other end. It was just unbelievable, the work that they did. And in most cases, I think they were working like 14 to 16 hours a day. And it is a tribute to you and your staff.
No, thank you, sir. The staff certainly did a great job. I will tell you, we're going to have to change the ring of the phone there because I can still hear it in my sleep a little bit. We're gonna get a new phone in there.
Well, I think the public needs to realize also, some of these people, I think we had more than probably 35 that I know of that worked more than 171 hours 1 week in these shelters, put in 171 hours. And some of those people had their homes destroyed as well.
Yes.
I mean, severely damaged.
Yes.
And didn't leave and maintained their posts and everything else. So, I mean, we can't say enough about what our staff and what
Did a
you've
great
done.
job.
Yeah.
We had over
Everybody.
125 staff work the emergency shelters
Yeah.
for about a 6-day period before the Red Cross was able to take over. That's,
Yeah, they
it's
went-
24 hours on call.
But they did a very good job at the Hella High School.
Yeah.
Very good job.
And last thing I would mention to you on that is at your next meeting, Dr. Doyle will be coming with a presentation for some funding assistance. We've been talking over the last
Yeah.
week. You've heard, what her issues are with building remediation, and she's going to have a conversation with you at your next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you,
County
sir.
manager.
Yes, sir.
Did they be doing the spraying in the New Bern area?
Yes, sir. That is a great question. I'm sorry I didn't left it out. The city of New Bern has sprayed their city. We're providing them with chemical. It's a great partnership. They're spraying the city of New Bern, Bryce's Creek area in the county unincorporated area, and the city of Bridgeton. Havelock spraying Harlow, the city of Havelock, all the way up to Carolina Pines in the county.
That's correct.
River Bend is spraying Trent Woods, and then the county's spraying through contract and aerial, everything else.
Well, I
So,
know in New Bern, all I heard that New Bern was spraying. I never heard about the county doing
right,
it.
well, what we did was we used our grant money to provide them the chemical. They already had the staff and the equipment to do it. It's been a great partnership. They've really stepped up, the municipalities having this program.
Public should know, the state provided $173,000?
Yes, sir. 173,000. And we received that money, we're helping divvy it out to the different departments in our own operations.
I don't know what happened, but in my yard, I've been going with no shirt on. There's no mosquitoes at all.
I'll reserve comments,
That's
sir.
a blessing.
There's a law about running around naked there.
I said no shirt on.
Reserve comment.
I was doing some work and it got hot.
Mr.
too.
Chairman, if I may ask you a
Yes, sir.
question. You probably may not know this, and Commissioner Tyson may. I've received several calls over the weekend concerning the FEMA trailers that they were talking about moving in.
Yes, sir.
And several folks had contacted FEMA and asked about, would they be eligible for one and wanted one. Several folks FEMA responded to them saying that they had received upfront compensation for rental, and so they would not qualify for the FEMA trailers. And the correspondence that they had is that there was no way they could return the money and be eligible for one. Folks are telling me that they were never told that. I don't know if there's anything that we can do. But this did come from several sources, and it's very troubling in that, I've had, just as many of us have talked over the last week or two, there are folks that are considering, going back to their homes because they're giving out of money, and just toughing it out or whatever circumstances may be. This was going to be a blessing with these trailers for a lot of folks, but,
Yeah.
if they didn't know about this up front, I would have accepted the money also, and so I think we need to check into it.
Let me take a look at that. I'll talk with our FEMA representation today. That is troubling, I'll tell you, because I do know, and I'm not sure how well it's been distributed. FEMA was on the ground yesterday with their surveillance team, on Saturday, which is the first step in placing houses. So we heard that some of those housing units had already been moved to Kinston, which means they're very close by. So once they go and they look at that person who's registered, registration is still a very vital part in getting temporary housing, whether it be the voucher Commissioner Jones talking about or the house. They can start placing those units now. We have been approved. So I'll look into this question, but you may start seeing some of the campers and trailers starting to show up here today, this week.
If we go back to our last meeting, I think one of the advice that FEMA said was appeal, appeal, and appeal when you
Yeah.
get turned down.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what the hiccup may be is they can't pay you twice. So what we may need to see is how long that payment for temporary assistance went, and can there be a switch-off period somehow. So we'll take a look at it.
We know that, down there in Trent Code, I don't know what we can do about that, but a lot of people been told that, not to go back in the apartment, but they can't find nowhere else to go, 'cause it's mold in there. But they still go back, 'cause they don't have nowhere else to go. And this is a bad situation. People living in those places and got mold all over the place. And another thing I find out that a lot of the contractors that's going out investigating these homes, look like they just taking a short scan of what's going on. I ran into one of the ladies in Duffield House, and they had taken, somebody had started working on it. They had already taken the top floor off. See, they left word that only thing need to come up with the top floor. But you look at the bottom floor, you can see the mold coming in. So I don't know what the inspector's doing. They came into my house and they looked around and sent me a letter that it wasn't enough damage. And then I looked up there, I told them about the water went underneath the house and it probably took those seals because it was right to my front porch and took the seals, and those seals gonna deteriorate and gonna buckle the floor. And it won't be no more good, but they don't even look at that. They didn't go in the house, they just peeked under there. So it looked like these inspectors they're not doing what they need to do to evaluate people's homes and see what people really need. Cause once that water go into your house and and get under those seals, you can find out that your floor gonna be gone in a little while. So we need to check up on, see what some of these inspectors doing.
Be happy to do it, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, commissioners' comments. Commissioner Tyson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Give me just a second, please.
Sure.
Wow, I just wanted to say, great job, City of New Bern and the others that helped make Mumfest maybe the best one I've ever been to. I think the crowds may have been the largest Saturday that I can remember seeing, and I'm sure that all the people that came here from many different other cities were like, wow, you were able to pull this together a month after the storm. I know there's some people that think that was controversial, having a festival when people are still suffering. However, I don't think the city took any of their resources away from any areas that were in need. I think this was just a great event, a great job by them. Cleanup continues throughout the county. I know some areas are recovering quicker than others. The sooner we can get rid of all this debris and the many thousands of tons of it, the better it's gonna, I think, help with morale. But we're working on that as diligently as I think we can. I've been told estimates of as long as 2 to 3 months to actually get rid of all of it, but there's just more than we can do all at one time. As we move into the next stage of the recovery, the long-term recovery, there's an organization in place. Gentleman was here 2 weeks ago talking about it. Many of us were unaware of it at the time, but it's called the Craven County Disaster Recovery Alliance. They're having a meeting Thursday at 10 o'clock at the United Way building. I would encourage any commissioners that are able to attend to learn a little bit more about it.
What date was that?
It's this Thursday at 10 o'clock.
And where?
Any commissioners that may be hoping to seek election, maybe they can come and learn about the organization, because I do believe that long-term recovery, this is the organization that's going to play a vital role in that.
Good location, Steve.
At the United Way building, it's on the corner of Metcalf and Broad Street. I am a member of the organization. I'm on the building committee. There's, I think, 8 different subcommittees that you can join, and I encourage the commissioners to do so. Pick one that you feel like you could do the best with, whether it's fundraising, communication, building, housing, all kinds of different subcommittees. And I hope, folks, that we're going to get an announcement in the next day or two of a national rebuild team that's basically said that they were going to come here. So that's gonna be a great opportunity. If they come, it'll be for 1 to 3 years. That they will have boots on the ground, 50 to 80 people. And they will rebuild for people that don't have flood insurance and don't have the wherewithal to rebuild their properties themselves. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jones?
One or two things, Mr. Chairman, just to bring before the board. I was going to announce it at our last meeting from Crosama, but on a normal day during the storm, Crosama was taking in about 1,800 tons a day of waste, where on a normal day, they took in about 600 ton. They've done an excellent job out there, the staff, as you can attest to with your years of service on that board. Now I have the opportunity to serve there. But they working 7 days a week and really trying to get folks in and out in a timely manner. Because of the amount of trash that has been brought in, we're going to have to expedite some of our plans for new sites that was going to be started next year. That's going to have to be considered to go ahead and advance that. So that's going to be talked about, I think, tomorrow at the meeting. Second thing I would just bring, County Manager talked about our Superintendent, Dr. Doyle, and I just want to commend our school board and Dr. Doyle for their efforts. She stayed in contact with me, as I'm pretty sure she has with other commissioners, but we've got a great problem in the western end of the county with James W. Smith School. That school they're not going to be able to go back in it now for several more weeks. They have made some alterations where starting Wednesday, they're going to transfer to West Craven High School. And my wife was showing me last night how they're placing the students in the school. And I think all the first grades are going to have to be put in one big area. My little girl, she was happy about that just when we told her about that. She's going to have a great big class. But tonight they're going to have open house over there and allow parents and the community to go and to hear the plan. And so they are thinking outside the box, and I commend them for that, to try to get us back into school. That's what we need. And so, again, I commend their efforts and what they try to do. And last thing I would just say in this, all of our board I commend all of you for the hard work that you've put in and the countless hours and devotion you've put into trying to help your fellow man over the last few weeks. But I especially want to commend Commissioner Tyson. I think he has really tried in staying in leading efforts and trying to rebuild across the county. And I commend him for that and reaching out as he has, and all of you for what you're doing. So it's an honor to serve with each of you, and I thank the Lord for that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Commissioner Liner?
Sir, just to piggyback on the schools, we've got a number of schools in Havelock will open tomorrow. A couple more will open in Wednesday. We still have 2 schools that will not open this week. We're not sure when they're going to open, so we still have 2 that'll be down. We're moving forward. My comment earlier on the Red Cross was not about the workers, nor the volunteers that come in that got in here. It's about the leadership up there. I think they've done an outstanding job. But I'll take that hit. That's not a problem, because they need to step up a little bit more on that. But this staff that we have, that we've put together under the leadership of our manager, has been nothing but superb on this storm and how they're working forward and moving us on. And Steve, I'll have to step on board with you as well. The city of New Bern has gone above and beyond their cleanup, getting things ready and running this Mum Fest. And I think it was needed. I think it brought people out. I think they needed the relaxation to get out and enjoy themselves a little bit. So commend them on what they did and how they went about doing it. Sir, thank you.
And Havelock? Are they gonna have?
Havelock's Chili Festival is this weekend. Excuse me, that's right.
That's right.
Friday and Saturday.
They're gonna do it up there too, folks. Come on down.
Wings on Friday night, chili on Saturday. Yes. And they're ready and they're prepared, and So start setting up on Wednesday and Thursday.
George,
Yes, sir.
could you elaborate on the location about the FEMA in Havelock?
The FEMA team is in the shopping center of the old Rue 21, right across from the Walmart. It's open from 9 to 7 daily. They have everybody in there now. They have FEMA, their whole team. Small business bureau is there, and along with all the state agencies are there and set up an operation. I was in there Saturday and they had seen about 22, 23 people. So they're starting to dwindle in, but you've got to get in there and get registered. And I can't say this enough. If you're in there, go over, if you don't feel comfortable, or even if you do feel comfortable with FEMA, still go over and register with the Small Business Association, SBA. People think that's strictly for businesses. It's not. It's residential as well. You don't have to take the loan, but get registered, get the application and everything in there. You have it on file and have it set up. Could be anywhere from 0% to 4% interest on that. But they'll tell you, come over and see them, get the paperwork, get filled out. Nothing says you have to take that loan, but you're not gonna be aware what happens 3, 4, 5 months down the road after this storm's over, what you find out is wrong with your house or what you may need. So, thank you.
Commissioner McKay.
Mr. Chair, I don't have anything today.
Commissioner Sampson.
I'd just like to say we have one of our elected officials here this morning. We'd like to thank her for coming out this morning after such a terrible storm we had. We thank you for being here.
Yes.
Also, in New Bern, they was picking up trash. They picked up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I tell you, this looked like a contractor, but the only thing, they had to block the street off because so much trash on the street, but they was doing a great job in getting this trash off the street. And I really appreciate that because I was just about tired looking at all this trash and got so running into the hard surface. You have to be careful, but they did an outstanding job for as I'm concerned. Also, we're supposed to have a meeting with the Work Development Board coming up Thursday. They're supposed to have gotten a big grant from the state to help put people to work. People that want to work, they got jobs out there for them. So anybody know anyone want a job, they can go by Eastern Workforce Development Board and investigate what's going on, because they're supposed to have gotten a lot of money from the government in North Carolina to hire people to work during this heavy storm. So we are hoping that some of our people that don't have jobs will go out there and check this out. Also, I'd just like to say that Steve did a great job. I called my daughter and told her, I said, Steve so surprised me. I said, he's out there working real hard. And everywhere you look, you see Steve. And she was so happy to say, Steve? I said, yeah, that was Steve. And so he has done an outstanding job. Of course, all the commissioners really work in their community to try to help the people in our community get back on board. And they're still working. We still got a lot of work to do. And working together, we can do a whole lot more we can working apart. And I saw this happen during this storm. I saw people come from everywhere. In fact, we had people way from Seattle, Washington, come way down here to help out and get us back that we can function again. And this is a great situation that people all over the world coming to help us. And we just need to learn how to continue to help one another. And I saw this happen. I just hope it keep on, and we could be what you call a duplicate of what needs to be done in the different communities. Also, we that's like to say about some of the things that's going on in our local communities. People is hurting so bad, and that, like I spoke about, Trent Court. We was down at the Board of Alderman meeting, and they had a meeting down there concerning trying to find some shelter for these people. And I heard the director say that they couldn't keep the people out because against their rules and regulations to keep the people from going into the residence. And the people were going in there, and they was staying in there. And it just hurt me to see people nowhere to go. And I'm laying home with a nice air-conditioned home on a bed, and they got to lay on the floor and all that mold and trash and everything, because still dampness in a lot of those homes up there. And working together, that we can fix this situation. I just hope we keep right on working together and making things better for everybody, no matter who they are, where they come from. I just like for myself to be able to follow the example that Jesus led, how he cared for everybody, no matter who they are, where they come from, or what they had done in life, and what mistakes they had made in life, that he would really forgive. And I hope we can do the same thing, be willing to forgive one another and go to the rescue when they need help. Thanks.
Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I also want to thank Commissioner Tyson for all of his work and dedication. He did say something, though, that disturbed me earlier today. And when you mentioned that you're 63, I thought you were much older. But only because,
much younger.
but only because of all the wisdom that you've been able to provide to this great community over these last few weeks. And I want to thank you very much. And it's just glad to have you as a friend and as a commissioner. I also want to thank the county manager and the staff. Your helpfulness in making certain that the two communities, Trent Woods and Riverbend, that make up part of my district, were able to work together on this this effort to address the mosquitoes was very helpful, and I want to thank you very much, as well as all the effort that everybody's put in on the electricity side and the planning side and everything else. There are some unique quirks that we have within District 4 that I want to thank you very much for all the dedication. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. And I too would like to thank the staff and Steve for some of the things that he's helped with in my area. I think that it's been a very difficult time for everybody, and I think this county, though, is strong enough to overcome what we've gone through, and we'll build it up back to where it was before and have a strong community. I want to just mention something. I don't often do this, but I saw something on Facebook that was it just disturbed me. Somebody mentioned the fact that in District 1 that nothing has been done about opioid and drug use. I'm the commissioner in District 1. As chairman of this group of commissioners last year, I held a meeting with the help of the county manager in organizing 92 elected officials to attend an opioid meeting with some of the doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists that are in the area to make them aware that we did have an opioid and drug problem. In addition to that, we spent hours, Jack and I, putting together a task force for each district where we've got 11 to 12 members on each one of those task force fighting against drugs and opioid addiction. So I took offense to that person that was on Facebook. I'm not mentioning any names, but it was shown to me by 2 or 3 people, and it just annoyed me because I've been involved with the opioid drug problem. In fact, between Jack, Vice Chairman Dacey, and myself, we are responsible for having a treatment center in accordance with Jacksonville and, what's the other?
Carteret County.
Carteret County, where we are gonna have 16 beds provided for bringing people that are been addicted. So, I took some offense to that, but I just want to mention, I don't often mention things like this, but I don't like to be made a liar, or that person should be a liar, let's put it that way. So, but in any event, we do have a recess coming up to the 22nd, which is Monday, for a work session. And thank you all for everything you've done.
Okay.
Meeting?
You'll be with tomorrow too?
Motion to recess.
Recess.
Okay,
Motion to recess till Monday, what time?
October 22nd, 8:30.
8:30.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it.
Yeah, I just wanted